Gee, am I mispronouncing it? Raqqa? Too bad. This is the New York Slimes. In eastern Syria is the main headquarters of the Islamic State. I'm thinking, why are they still there? But the buildings have gone untouched during the 10-month Allied air campaign. And just last week, convoys of heavy armored Islamic State fighters paraded triumphantly through the streets of the provincial capital Ramadi in western Iraq after forcing Iraqi troops to flee. They rolled on unscathed by coalition fighter bombers. American and Allied warplanes are equipped with the most precise aerial arsenal ever fielded. But American officials say they are not striking significant and obvious Islamic State targets out of fear that the attacks will accidentally kill civilians. I said, what? The enemy doesn't accidentally kill civilians. It kills civilians by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. Are you kidding me? This is a killing machine we're trying to destroy. Killing such innocents could hand the militants a major propaganda coup and alienate both the local Sunni tribesmen whose support is critical to ousting the militants and Sunni Arab countries that are part of the American-led coalition. See, this is the crap he's getting from the White House. So here it is in the New York Slimes, the mouthpiece for this administration and anything leftist. We have no intention of taking out this enemy. We have every excuse imaginable. And while we have no intention of taking out this enemy, we're going to degrade our military. But many Iraqi commanders and even some American officers argue that exercising such prudence is harming the coalition's larger effort to destroy the Islamic State, also known as ISIS, and that it illustrates the limitations of American air power in the Obama administration's strategy. Well, surrender is the problem. A persistent complaint of Iraqi officials and security officials is that the U.S. has been too cautious in its air campaign, frequently allowing columns of Islamic State fighters essentially free movement on the battlefield. I have talked about this myself. Now we have evidence. And yet others on TV and radio, well, we don't want to hurt the civilians. We don't want to hurt the civilians. The Iraqis want us to take these bastards out. And they're right. We have never fought wars this way, ladies and gentlemen. Never. Never. Here we have known these the headquarters of the enemy for 10 months, and we won't hit them. And we won't hit them. The international alliance is not providing enough support compared with ISIS capabilities on the ground in Anbar, said Major Mohammed al-Damini, an Iraqi officer in Anbar province, which contains Ramadi. I mean, this is the joke. Well, it's not a very funny joke. How many sorties were actually flying? And the issue isn't how many sorties were actually flying. McCain got it right over the weekend. It's the issue of how many sorties were flying that actually result in attacking the enemy. Because apparently a lot of these sorties that were flying are not dropping munitions. You know what? This is just so pathetic. What did we expect from a community disorganizer, a guy whose entire life experience is in hating his own country? It's an indoctrination. He's never produced a damn thing in his life. He's never done anything effective, a damn thing. I don't care what his race is. It's irrelevant. And here we have it, sitting here discussing it. I mean, well, we don't want to hurt the civilians. While the enemy is raping, pillaging, decapitating, putting people on crucifixes, doing the most horrific things we've seen, the little Hitlers running around. We've got genocide spreading in the Middle East, spreading in North Africa. Well, I don't know if we should bomb their headquarters. You think FDR would leave their headquarters untouched? You think Harry Truman would leave their headquarters untouched? Remember Harry Truman? Democrats? Remember him? Dropped 2 atomic bombs. He said enough is enough. We're not going to kill any more American soldiers. And either we have victory over Japan and we drive them to their knees, or we continue to fight. Civilians were actually the targets of those atomic bombs. Same with the British bombing of Dresden. Same with much of World War II, because it was understood it wasn't enough to take out the military sites, that the enemy was so horrific that you had to destroy their civilization. We're fighting this war, these wars, absolutely the wrong way. There's no way Eisenhower would have done this, or Truman or FDR. There's no way Richard Nixon would have done this. Remember Nixon during the Vietnam War? 10 days and nights of bombing. Hanoi. Hanoi. Hanoi! Not military sites to bring the enemy to the peace table. And, of course, the liberals in Congress destroyed that, too, as they destroy everything. But we've never fought a battle like this. And I even hear some pseudo-conservatives and others who should know better saying, well, you got to worry about the citizens. You got to worry about the civilians. The civilians are the targets of the enemy. It's the civilians we're trying to save. It's the communities we're trying to save. So, yes, we understand. You understand. There are going to be civilian deaths one way or another. But you got to put an end to this so it doesn't go on and on and on. The torture, the mayhem, the pillaging, the raping, the slaughter. I wonder, during World War II, those people in those death camps, I wonder what they would have said. I wonder what they would have said if the alternatives to being gassed to death, shot in the back of the head as part of a mass grave, being pushed in an oven, was blowing the enemy off the face of the earth and taking some of them with them. I can't speak for them, poor lost souls. But I can tell you this. This will continue to go on because we're the only ones that have the power, at least for now, to put an end to it. Nobody else can, and nobody else will. I hear it said, well, the Iraqis won't fight for themselves. Well, what did we say during World War II? Well, the Tunisians won't fight for themselves. Well, this group and that group won't fight for itself. That's the enemy. Go wipe them out. No excuses. Stop whining. Whether the Iraqis can fight or not is beside the point almost. We're not fighting for this Iraqi government. There's a moral imperative here. A moral imperative. I find it interesting that people like me are attacked by these phony front Muslim groups in this country, and yet who is it that gets behind this microphone day in and day out, and says we need to wipe the Islamo-Nazis off the face of the earth so they stop slaughtering people? And for the most part, who are they slaughtering? Muslims. I don't call Muslims Islamo-Nazis. I call the Islamo-Nazis Islamo-Nazis. And get behind this microphone day in and day out. This is genocide taking place on a horrific scale during our lifetimes. The wrong president at the wrong time, although Obama was never the right president at any time.